Absolutely.
So welcome, welcome. It's such a great day, the 21st of December. We are going and in that celebration mode of that Christmas, New Year. And today, Anjali ji from Talk to Big Ears, she's the founder of Talk to Big Ears, a listening service here in Delhi. And she is going to tell us about what is the journey of Siddharth through this book, which is also named as Siddharth. And Herman Hesse, a German writer, wrote this, and it's a very well known book. And I am like really excited to hear this story from Anjali. And please be a part of this Swadhyay. And welcome, welcome, Anjali. And thank you all, friends, for joining. Most welcome. Thank you, Anjali.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anu. Thank you so much, Anju. Thank you so much, Madhulinji. I would love to see your face though. But thank you so much for being here today. And
Yes.
this was one book which I have to say thank you to a very dear friend of mine, Dharani. She recommended this book to me 2 weeks ago and said that because I was asking too many questions in that conversation, and she said, Anjali, you should read this book. There is this person who's also always asking questions like you. So I read this book and it really moved me, and I wanted to share with all of you. Welcome, Annapurna ji. And so this is a book called Siddharth. And this Siddharth is not the same as Gautam Buddha, but it is set in the times of Gautam Buddha. And this has been written by Herman Hesse. He was a Nobel laureate, and he's written some phenomenal books, and his works are very, very enlightening. You learn so much from his books. So this is a book which has been spoken about earlier, and if you go to YouTube, you will also get lots of information on the book. A lot of people have spoken about it and shared the summary. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about the book, and then I'm going to tell you what I learned from it. So my perspective and my understanding of this whole concept of the search of Siddharth. So I'm going to start with this person who is known as Siddharth, and this is set in the times of Gautam Buddha. And this is a journey of this young man who wants to discover himself, who wants to know peace, who wants to know the truth. And the characters in this book, again, I'm going to tell you, is of course Siddharth, our protagonist, his father, his friend called Govinda, a boatman who's called Vasudev, a person who's a very successful businessman in a small town called Kamaswami, and a young lady called Kamla. And also there is an introduction of a little boy in towards the end. So the whole book starts with these two friends, Govinda and Siddharth, in a small village. They are both Brahman boys, and Siddharth is supposed to be a very intelligent and an intellectual person who understands all the scriptures, knows all the scriptures, and everybody feels that he's a very promising young man and will be a wonderful Brahman when he grows up. But a young man, he has butterflies all the time in his head and in his stomach, and he always wants to search for better things, and he wants to search for better knowledge and the understanding of life and the purpose of life and all that. So he feels that he's being stagnated in this small town and there's nothing new to learn. He's learned enough from this place. So he decides to leave his comfort and move to to the forest with the samanas. Now samanas are people जो हठ योग करते हैं, जो अपने आप को बहुत तकलीफों में से गुजारते हैं और बहुत पेनेंस करते हैं, and make their resilience strong and make their willpower very strong, and they learn to control their emotions, their senses, and that is their method of reaching their goal. So now Siddharth has to take permission from his father, and his father is not very keen that he goes. Nobody wants their children to just go into the forest. So he refuses to give him permission. But Siddharth, being a young and a very headstrong person. He stands in one position for over 24 hours. And then the father says, "What am I going to do with you? What is it that you want?" He said that I want to leave this place and I want to go and search for the truth. But I will not defy you. I want to go with your blessings. So what will the father do? The father will say, "Okay, my child, as you wish. You want to go, you want to find it, but you must come back and tell me what you found." So he said, "Yeah, sure, I will." And he takes his blessings and he moves to the forest. And once he goes into the forest, these two young men, like I said, they did a lot of penance. And in the winters, they were standing without clothes, and they were in the cold water, and they did penance for hours, for days, for weeks together. They did not eat anything, just to make themselves control all the senses. They were managing to do it. But then again, our young Siddharth, who wants something more and wants more answers, so he decides now that this is not working. I need something else. Now, what is it that he wants? Now, so Siddharth decides to go further in search of the truth. Now, Govinda has heard of this person who is enlightened, and this happens to be Gautam Buddha. So Govinda tells Siddharth that let's just go and see this person and hear what he has to say. Maybe he has all the knowledge, and we are going to benefit from it. So both of them decide and they go out in search of Gautam Buddha. They reach this place where there are many monks, and there are many more people waiting for the Buddha to come and to give his discourse. They sit amongst them, and they hear him. And when they hear him, they get a lot of knowledge. But our Siddharth is still not very convinced. So after that whole discourse, both the friends are discussing, and Govinda says that, "Look, I'm going to be a part of this group, because I feel I'm going to get everything from here." And Siddharth says, "I'm so happy for you, because you've never used your brains. You always just keep following me, and you keep accepting whatever I have decided for myself, and you want to do the same thing. But now, since you've decided for yourself, I'm very happy for you. And I'm going to leave you tomorrow morning, because I don't want to join this group." So, Govinda is very upset, and he said, "How can you leave me?" and stuff like that. He says, "Somehow I feel that I don't need a teacher." Now, this is a very, very interesting part. He says, "I don't need a teacher. I don't need any teachings." He says, "Then how are you going to reach where you want to reach?" So he says, "I want to experience it myself." So, whatever the Buddha has told us in this whole discourse, he has spoken about his experiences, he has spoken about what he has understood of it. So that does not fit my bill. Says it's not that he's wrong or I'm right, but it's just that I don't want to just accept it. I want to experience it myself. So chalo, now what happens? Now the next morning, Siddharth, he says, "But I can't leave till I meet the Buddha." So after the discourse, he goes and meets the Buddha and tells him that, "Oh, exalted one, I have decided to uh, leave, and I need to search more, and I need to experience everything." So he says, "It's very good if you've decided that, and whatever I have said is not my opinion." He says, "If you feel this is my opinion, it isn't my opinion. This is just to tell people how not to let suffering hit them." So this is also a very important point, which we will come to later. So it is about being the same in sukh and dukh, to be some. Okay? Suffering should not trouble you. Lot of happiness should not trouble you. You should be at one plane. Okay? So he takes the blessings of the Buddha now and he walks away. Now, when he's walking, he suddenly realizes this is the first time Siddharth is on his own. I suddenly feel I found Siddharth. I didn't know who Siddharth was. And now here I am walking all alone, and I am looking at life, and I want to experience what all of this is about. And suddenly he starts seeing the beauty in the small plants, the trees, the leaves, the flowers, because he had never even bothered to see them. This is God's creation. We have to look at it. We have to appreciate it. He was so busy in finding the truth. He was so busy in finding himself. He did not see what was there for him. So a man is in this trance, and he sees this river, and now he needs to cross the river. So there's this person who is a boatman, and his name is Vasudev. And he goes up to Vasudev and says that I need to cross the river, but I have no money to give you. So Vasudev says that, well, you were sleeping in my hut because you were so tired, and now you want to cross the river and not give me any money. But it's all right. He's a very wise man. Vasudev is the characterization of Vasudev is that he's a very wise man, and he's old, and he is very, very stable. So he said, that's all right. We can go across the river, and you can pay me some other time, because I have learned from the river that everything comes back to you. This also is a very important point, that everything will come back to you. So he moves on that boat, and this person helps him cross the river. He starts walking on the other side, and he comes across this small town. And as he enters the town, he happens to see the first person over there, who is a prostitute. And he starts finding about her from people, and they tell him that she is a prostitute of the town, and her name is Kamala. So Siddharth then kind of improves his appearance. He shaves, he cuts his hair, and he goes to meet Kamala. Now, he says that I'm here to learn from you. I've never seen such beauty in my life, and I want to learn the art of love from you. And Kamla looks at him and says that, but I'm not going to teach it to you just like that. You mean you have to give me money, and for that you need to earn money. So our man Siddharth says, now how am I going to earn money? She says, what do you have? What are the skills you have? So he says that there are 3 skills I have. Achha, now what are the skills? The skills are that I can fast. I can go without food for days. I can think, and I can wait. And she holds her head and says, now who's going to pay you money to do all these 3 things? So you need to tell me what are your other skills with which you can earn money. So he says, well, I can read and write. So she says that I'm going to put you in touch with this businessman of the town, and his name is Kamaswamy, and he will employ you, and you can earn your money. So he's very happy about it. He goes to Mr. Kamaswamy, and she gives him some decent clothes to wear. And he goes to Kamaswamy, and Kamaswamy takes his interview and asks him to write and asks him to read. And he's very witty, and he says, gives some wonderful answers, and he's hired. Now Siddharth starts working with Kamaswamy without any attachment, because he has no attachment. He doesn't have any belongings. So if he does not have any belongings, there are no attachments. So and he's not connected to anybody emotionally. There is no burden on him. So it is very easy for him to do business. It is very easy for him to befriend people. It is very easy for him to earn and take risks, and in the fun of it, he just becomes successful. He starts earning a lot of money, and he starts eating a lot of food. He starts drinking wine. He starts gambling. He starts going to Kamla. Kamla shows him how to make love. She shows him how to be loved. She gives him the experience of a lifetime. So our man Siddharth is then earning money. He's drinking a lot of wine. He's eating a lot of food. He's going to satisfy his lust. Then he comes back, and then he starts shouting and screaming at people. Anger creeps in. So, in the midst of all of this, he again starts feeling that hollow feeling. He again starts feeling that there is something missing, and he needs something more. This is not his journey. So, now he wants more. So the restless soul that he is, he gives up everything, and again He says, now my life is not worth living, and I'm going to jump into the river and commit suicide. He reaches that stage. Now, this is also very important because this is the darkest hour of his life. So when there is the darkest hour in your life, that is when the dawn comes in. That is when you start seeing the light. So if you are strong enough to live through that dark hour of your life, it becomes like a catapult. You get catapulted into light. You get catapulted into knowledge. So this phase of Siddharth is terrible. He looks into the river, the same river that he had crossed, and then he's ready to jump into the river, and suddenly he starts hearing Om. The sound of Om he starts hearing. And that was the sound that used to help him meditate. And he remembers. Then he sits under the shade of a tree and he goes off to sleep. And that sleep he had not experienced in years on end, because he was so involved with, uh, Bhog raha tha. He was consuming so much, and there was no purpose in that consumption, and he was losing himself. So he lost his sleep also in the bargain. So now what happens is that he is sleeping, and while he's sleeping, the sun comes out. Now, when the sun comes out, it gets very hot. And then there is this monk who's crossing, and he sees this gentleman lying under the tree, but the sun is troubling him and he can't sleep. And this person happens to be Govinda. He is moving with his bunch of monks and he sees Siddharth lying on the ground, but he does not recognize Siddharth. But he falls behind. He gives Siddharth the shade for him to sleep as long as he like. And then when Siddharth wakes up, he just wishes him and he walks away. But Siddharth recognizes him, that this was his friend who's given him shade, and it was a good feeling. So now Siddharth wants to cross over to that other side of the river, and he finds the same boatman. Now, this boatman is Vasudev. Now, this boatman is again sitting in the boat, and Mr. Siddharth goes up to him and says that I need to cross this river, but I have no money. And he says that, but you're wearing such lovely clothes. He says, I'll give you all my clothes. And you please give me whatever you have. I'm going to stay with you. I will serve you. Keep me as your apprentice, because I see so much love and peace in you. So I want to learn from you. Please let me be with you. Let me live with you. So Mr. Vasudev says, most welcome. You had stayed in my hut earlier, and I had taken you across the river, and I told you whatever goes, everything comes around. So you are coming back. Most welcome. So the two of them become buddies and they start rowing the boat together. He starts helping him with the fields, with cooking, with cleaning, and he starts living with him, and they start chatting. And once they get back home into the hut, Siddharth confesses with Vasudev everything about his life. And this one point I want to emphasize: Vasudev is a very, very patient listener. So when he listens to Siddharth, without nodding, without just giving him rapt attention and looking at him straight in the eye and just listening to him, it gave Siddharth so much peace. It gave him a sense of belonging. And this is what Talk to Beginners is all about, right? So,
Yes.
So once he has shared everything with Vasudev, our Siddharth feels so much lighter. He feels so much better, so much connected, and he belongs in that hut. So now they start working together. They start ferrying passengers, and he starts chipping in wherever he can. And the river starts talking to both of them. Of course, Vasudev, he says, has learnt everything from the river. And the river taught Siddharth also, when in his darkest hour, The river gave him the direction. The river gave him that sound of Om again. So they both feel so connected to each other because of that river. And they have to learn from the river. So Siddharth says that this river is constant. From the source to the end, to the middle, to the young, to the old, everything. It is always flowing together. Everything is flowing on and on and on. So that's what life is all about. It is just moving. It is moving with everybody in it. So now what happens that one fine day, a lot of monks start crossing over the river. And they realize that Gautam Buddha is ready to give up his body. So everybody is going for his last darshan. Now, in that group, there is also Kamla. Kamla, the lady that met Siddharth. And she is traveling with her son now. She calls him also Siddharth. And the son tantrums and is not happy.
We lost your voice.
Sorry. I am exactly where I was.
Okay, sure, yeah. Again, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I'm me. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So Kamla and the son Siddharth, they are traveling together, and then they get tired and they rest under the tree. And while they're resting, a snake comes and bites Kamla. Now she shouts and screams, and this little fellow, he goes looking out for help. When he starts shouting for help, Vasudev hears him. And Vasudev takes Kamla now on that boat to his hut. As soon as he places Kamla in that hut, Siddharth sees her and recognizes her and sees that little boy. And the boy seems very familiar for obvious reasons. So then suddenly she gains consciousness and she says that she's very happy to see him. And so is he. And she asks him if he has found his peace. So he said, I'm almost there. And have you found your peace? He asks her. She says, I soon will. And then she introduces father and son. And in the meantime, Kamla passes on. So now Siddharth has this young boy who is supposed to be his son. And now he's going to be taught how to love. He didn't know how to love. He was only just satisfying his needs while he was in that little town. But now he has this son, and life wants to teach him how to love. So he really loves this little boy and tries to make him happy. But this boy is very nasty. He's not happy to be where he is. He wants to go back home. He does not like being in the forest. He likes his comforts and his friends. So he shouts and screams and he really retaliates and is very uncouth with his father. But the father is very patient because he thinks and he is patient and he will wait and all those things. He keeps waiting for him to turn around. He keeps waiting, but it doesn't happen. Then one fine day, the young Siddharth, he steals from that hut. He takes the boat and he goes across and into the forest and breaks the oars so that nobody can follow him. So now Siddharth gets very agitated. He wants to go to his son and he wants to see if he's all right. Now Vasudev stops him. Vasudev says that this is not your son's journey. This is your journey. And where your son has gone is his journey. You cannot change anything. He is going to live where he has to live. He will be where he has to be. It is not going to be about a parent's ambition for a child. Now, Vasudev is a very wise man. He tries to stop him, but Siddharth, being Siddharth, he does not listen to him. And he looks into the river and he sees the face of his father. And he remembers his father that he did the same thing to him. And he was supposed to go back and he did not go back. So this river brings everything around. So this is karmic. This is karma. He hurt his father and now he's being hurt. So in any case, so he decides to go back to that little town to find out about his son and see He starts missing him. He sees all these parents and children together, and he starts missing his son. And that fatherly love suddenly creeps in. And this again takes him away from his goal, because this is attachment. When he was not attached, he was so much more happier. He had love in him, but he would never fall in love with anybody. He would always rise in love, because that was the ultimate love. But now he was falling. He was falling. This is a very, uh, I mean, when you think of it, yeah, you do fall. Why should you fall in love? So this is an attachment which is bringing him down, which is bringing his purpose down. He goes across the river. He tries to find him. He sees him very happy in where he is, and he's very happy to be back in his home with all the servants and everything. So he sees him and gets very, very sad. Now, when he gets sad, he hasn't eaten in days, nothing. Then he feels a person's hand on his shoulder. And who is that person? That's Vasudev. Vasudev followed him. And he said, I couldn't leave you in the situation that you were, and I want you to come back home to your journey. You don't need to be here. So he's very happy to see Vasudev. He takes him back, and they come across Govinda once again. Now, Govinda comes and sees Siddharth, and he says, Siddharth, uh, you tell me what have you learned. And they meet, and he's very happy to see him. And Siddharth tells him that I have met you earlier also, but you did not recognize me. I recognized you, and it was a very nice friend to friend, old friends meeting and all of that. So then our Govinda asks Siddharth that you please tell me what have you learned, because I'm still searching. I'm still searching for that peace. I'm still searching for the truth. What is it that you have got? Please teach me. So he says some wonderful things. He says, point number one is that knowledge can be taught, but wisdom can never be taught. So knowledge is the script. But for that script to become wisdom, you will have to experience it yourself. And this is exactly what Gautam Buddha also said. He said that I'm not teaching you anything. I'm just telling you how not to suffer. I can tell you things. I can tell you my experiences. But until and unless you don't go through that journey, you will never understand what is right and wrong and good and bad for you. So he says that because you have been searching so much, Govinda, you've not been able to find. So when we search too much, we don't find anything. But when we stop searching, things start finding us. If we have a goal in our life, it will drive us crazy. It will drive us up the wall. It will drive us to do all sorts of things to ourselves. We will have sleepless nights. We will go crazy looking for it. We will go crazy to achieve it. But once when we decide not to have a goal in our life, for us to enjoy this present moment, for us to live in the now, we become free. We become free from past, from present, from attachments, from everything. Because we have decided that now is the moment where we have to live, and we don't have to plan, and we don't have to have goals in our life. Peace is going to find us. And then Govinda is very, very amused, and he is very, very happy for his friend, and says that, look, he says, I have experienced everything. I have seen life. I have become rich. I have done everything. I had a son, but I did not have peace. But now I have peace when there are no attachments. And I never needed a teacher. I didn't need the teachings. I wanted to experience it myself. So it is, then he says, okay, what can you learn from? You teach me something. What is it? Give me some clue. So Siddharth picks up a stone, and he says that you can even learn from the stone. The point is that we are all in a transformative phase. This stone can become your relative after years. The house you live in is not yours. After 30, 40 years, somebody else will live in it. This stone will become soil, the soil will become a tree, the tree will become a fruit, the fruit will go into somebody's stomach, and this whole cycle keeps happening. So you don't know what part of the journey this stone is in, whether this stone was your relative 10 births earlier or is going to be your relative 2 births later. So we should not be judgmental. Everybody is where they are meant to be, everybody is where they are supposed to be. We don't have to judge anyone, and we just have to love and live in the moment and live in the bliss of His grace. And this this book moved me. I loved it, and I just wanted to share with everybody. And this is my interpretation. Because you have to kill your identity to move a few notches up in spirituality, which we don't realize. And our identity is our ego, is our aham. Until and unless we don't squash it, we will not get anywhere. Kabir also says the same thing. So all of this knowledge is actually the same thing wherever we go, but it is worthless if it lies on our shelf, and it is worth uh, diamonds, multiple kohinoors. It is worth that if we learn from it. So thank you so much, each one of you, and I am open to all kinds of conversations about this. And if you have any thoughts on it, if you would like to discuss any point, I'm right here and willing to share and willing to learn from all of you. So thank you. Please, if anyone has anything to say, I'd love to hear your opinions. And we have Dharani. So Dharani is that friend who suggested this book to me.
Yes.
And thank you, Dharani, for being here. So sweet of you. Thank you.
Very sweet of her. And Anju from Goa.
So from Goa, from Delhi and Gurgaon only. But it was such a pleasure listening to her and her interpretation of the entire book. Very, very interesting. Each time, though I have read the book, but each time somebody else interprets it, their own perceptions. So it gives a new dimension to the whole thing. It was beautiful. Thank you, Anjali.
Thank you. Thank you, Anju. Thank you, Anu. Good.
Rita ji, you wanted to say
Manju.
something? Thank you, Anju ji.
Manju.
Thank you, Manju ji. You are mute.
Mic's off.
My thanks. It's really a nice explanation. I haven't read the book, and what I learned is surrenderance. Just surrender to the present and live peacefully.
क्या बात है क्या बात है
But you have explained it so well.
Yeah, very nice. बहुत अच्छा.
Thank you, Anjali ma'am. Very nice experience. बुक पढ़ने से भी इतना मजा नहीं आता जितना आपसे आप पढ़ के एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हो. सिद्धार्थ के टाइम में सिद्धार्थ का कहानी बहुत ब्यूटीफुल है. ये रियल स्टोरी है या किसी ने जस्ट लिखा है?
ये मैम हर्मन हेस थे, एक जर्मन राइटर. ये उन्होंने लिखा है, और इन्होंने और भी बहुत पाथ ब्रेकिंग बुक्स लिखी हैं जिनका स्पिरिचुअल रेलेवेंस बहुत है. So maybe if you would like to read, there is lots we can learn from these books.
ओके मैम, आप वो ऑथर का नाम ग्रुप में डाल
हरमन जी मैम डाल दूंगे. हरमन हेस.
ओके, हम और बुक्स भी उसका मतलब पढ़ सकते हैं. बट द experience is so excellent. Can't explain in words ना. वो जो फील करते हैं ऐसा लग रहा था हम ही वो चीज है, हम ही सिद्धार्थ बन के घूम रहे हैं, एक एक चीज एक्सपीरियंस कर रहे हैं. यू हैव वेरी this articulate of storytelling. You have that.
Wow.
Very good.
Actually,
Very
we
good.
all do have that Siddharth in us. I think since all of us are here for a topic like this, because we all have that Siddharth in us, that's the reason that has got us together. Otherwise, people, I met somebody day before yesterday and I spoke about this book and she says, I've read it, but I never understood it. So I was like, yeah, I mean, time aata hai, so then you understand everything, you know. So all of us are here and we are all Siddharths. We are all on our journey. We are all exploring and learning from each other.
Yes.
So
thank you, ma'am. Thank you very
yes.
much. Or come here and give more wisdom to all of us.
Oh dear. Oh dear. But I just wanted to thank Manju ji, Rita ji, and Annapurna ji. I remember you from last time also, and you were there, and you always have such wonderful things to say. So thank you so much, and thank you, Anu, for getting them on here.
Yeah.
I think this is really wonderful. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
I just want to, Manju ji, आप ना mute हैं, आप unmute करके बोलें.
I just wanted to know whether this book has been translated in English. Is it available in English or it's in German only?
Yes, in English. In English.
Okay, only by the name of Siddharth.
Yes.
Yes.
Siddharth.
Okay.
There is also an audio book. On YouTube, you will also find an audio book.
Acha.
So you can hear it. Yes. And there is also a movie. But the fun of watching that movie is only after you read the book, because then you don't really understand.
No, I think now since you spoke about it, now even after reading the book, we'll enjoy it more.
Right.
We can relate it to with everything and all the incidents, and I think so. You spoke so well. Explained it so well. Each and every word has gone into our head deeply. So we'll enjoy the book better now.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manju ji.
When you start reading for others, I think your own input increases. You know, when we start reading for others, because when we read it for ourselves, so we are limited. We have a limited scope. But when we know, when we are explaining it to others, perhaps we open more. The listeners also enjoy it better.
Yeah.
So nice.
Actually, I just wanted to build up. I think Annapurna ji said this, that I was like, spellbound because I thought I am Siddharth. That, because, I was also part of the conversation between Dharani ji, Anjali, everybody, and we were talking about, like, there were so many questions in that. And then this Siddharth is like, there is always in this kind of field that whether the teachers are saying that, and we always have deep respect for the teachers or for the whatever books we have read, but then there is this internal somebody saying that I have to experience it for myself. Whole book is about that. तो वो भोगना भी है, उससे निकलना भी है, और उसका everything has a certain time to it. Understanding book and coming and discussing it with like-minded people, there is a time and to go through all our responsibilities and bhog and whatever is also a part of that life, and
learning
it thoroughly,
very nice,
very much, to enjoy this or to understand this, how he felt that from Gautam Buddha, he met Gautam Buddha, but he said no, I have to go. But then his like love nature or his innate nature came out when the young Siddharth went away.
So natural.
It is so natural. Sometimes it so happens, even like, I'm just got my watch repaired and it was not working for 3 days. And I was like, what can a watch? But I'm so used to this watch. Only then it stopped when I understood that I always constantly look up to that watch. So not only that non-living things, but when a human being goes away, then we understand the value of what they meant to us, what we learned with them, and it becomes like alive, more alive.
True that.
So all those incidents came back from my life, you know. I was just remembering my mother, like we were one brother, two sisters, and my sister, younger sister, was in 10th, and after 10th exam, she wanted to go for the first time out of the house on her own. So in some other city, we had another relatives, and they said, okay, if you want, you can come. So with my parents' permission, they took my sister. But within 3 days, my mother made me call our relatives that bring my daughter back.
Send her back. I swear that.
So it was, you know, like, so we were always fighting, you know, causing trouble to my mother, like everything, but we couldn't bear. So I was remembering all this while listening to this story. And of course, I resonate with everybody who says that you have this knack of, you know, storytelling, because your eyes were smiling, your face was smiling. So that
And
it made it alive.
that made us very easy to relate with our life.
And look at Kamla and look at Vasudev. They responded exactly with respect and with compassion. See, we do need money to go around.
In a very natural way. जो ऐसा हो ऐसा ही होता है, ऐसा ही हो सकता है. Nothing out of this, मैंने unexpected नहीं कुछ ऐसा बोला. Very nice.
And I'll take one moment to welcome Padma ji back. Padma ji is back about after 2 months. She also went through sickness, and most welcome. And you joined us for Anjali's thing. So thank you, Padma ji. She takes our Bhagavad Gita classes.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Padma ji.
अंजलि जी, नमस्ते सभी को, नमस्ते. आपको
सभी को
आज
नमस्ते.
बहुत अच्छा लगा आपका टॉपिक, सिद्धार्थ.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
एक और चीज, if I can add, you know, a very senior friend of mine, I learned this from her, and she says, you know, there are three things. First is the agan, that there is that agan in you, there is that fire in you to find the right path. There is that wish and that, you know, that fire that you want to know. वो इतनी eagerness है that agan is there. With that agan, when you get the path, आप उसमें लगन से घुस जाते हो. पूरी लगन से घुस जाते हो. और जब आप उस लगन से घुसते हो उसमें, तो फिर आप मगन हो जाते हो. So there is a agan, there is a lagan, and there is a magan. So I think that magan is what we are all searching for, and we are all on our journeys. And I'm sure, looking at all your faces, I'm very, very sure all of you have experienced that magan ness sometime or the other in your life. And once if you taste it, you want it back again.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think after that, उसमें हमारे को लगता है कि हमारी अगन और बढ़ जाती है, फिर हम एक आधा नॉच ऊपर जाते हैं, फिर हमारी जर्नी और चेंज होती है और ट्रांसफॉर्म होती है. Like they also say that, you know, a thief has a saint in him, and a saint has a thief in him. We don't know who's coming first and who's going after the first. But it's just that respect everybody's journey, stay connected to yours, surrender, and just move and be happy. That's all that we can do.
That's true.
So I think our time is up, Anu. And I just want to thank each one of you to be here. Thank you so much, Anu, for arranging this. Kudos to you. Yeah, thank you. You keep pushing me to do things, and I enjoy it, but I need somebody to push me. So thank you so much. And if anybody
we
has...
will all start pushing you so that you could come more often.
So the push is not from me, it's from the group. I just will take one more time. Dharani ji, you were the main instigator. So if you can speak, I don't know whether you will be... Acha, thank you, Anjali. So maybe she's driving or something. Yeah. Thank you, Dharani, for being here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you
Good
all.
evening. Bye. Bye.
So much,
Thank you
Anjali.
all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank